Good morning once again, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyo Interno, and this morning we are going to be discussing issues to do with child labor, as Uganda will join the rest of the world to celebrate World Day Against Child Labor. And that is on the 12th of June. Now, I'm not alone in studios to discuss this. I am with Opurong John, who is the General Secretary, Uganda Media Union, that is at the National Organization of Trade Unions. He's with me in studios this morning, with whom we are going to be deliberating on this matter. But don't forget, we have our poll question, which is what can be done to end child labor? What should be done to end child labor? We need your views to know how best we can end this. Now, good morning and welcome, my guest.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, viewers.
I'm happy to have you here with me.
Thank you.
Whenever I have a veteran journalist, I'm excited hosting them.
Thank you so much.
Now, to begin with, when you talk about child labor, we have World Health Organization definition, but also putting it in perspective. What is child labor in the simplest terms?
Child labor is that type of work which is given to a child who is below age on commercial basis. In other words, children who are asked to go and do work which will bring income to their parents. In other words, children are not allowed to work, and those who are working will get money and give it. Example are many. We have children who go to cut sugar cane. We have children who go to market, sell product in the market for their parents, or carry the goods. If you go to Busia, there you will see a lot of children, maybe some of the children carrying product for sale, and at the end of the day they are given peanuts. Those are what we describe as child labor. Children who are allowed to work instead of school, go to work to bring some money for their parents, or bring the money for maybe for themselves.
Let me first remind my viewer of the poll question. Our poll question this morning is what measures should be taken to eliminate child labor in Uganda? What measures should be taken to eliminate child labor in Uganda? Please share your views on our WhatsApp number that is on your screen, and of course on our X handle, and I'll be able to read all your messages as they come in. This is something we must bring to the end. Now, John, well defined what child labor is. I just want also to know, because in the African setting, children do work. I've seen children who sell eggs. You've seen them moving around the streets, maize, bananas, children who go and dig, children who fetch water for a living, to support their families. In Uganda, children do work. So what are the dangers? Why should we condemn why should we condemn child labor? Actually, why even do we have a whole day recognized globally, designated globally, about child labor?
Thank you for your question. Children are allowed to work in a manner that is when it's being supervised. There are laws in Uganda which allows children which is supposed to be supervised. In other words, children's place is in school. Is not supposed to be working for money, for gain. A child of 8 years, you are seeing him or her carrying water to take to the building site, or rolling, a child of 10 years, rolling a wheelbarrow to go and take sand to the building site. That is already child labor. His best place is school.
We see many in quarries, stone quarries.
Those are child labor.
Many in fishing.
Those are child labor. So, in Uganda here, a child is a work which is supposed to be supervised is from 14 years. from 14 years to 18. You have a child, you can go and dig with that child at your home.
Repeat that, please. From
You can
14 years
yes, you can,
to 18 years.
You must be, could be digging, supervised while doing that work. Others, that is the age of work, but under supervision. So I cannot come and make somebody, a printer, start rolling printing here, 17 years, 14 years and so on, rolling a print or mixing inks without being supervised. So every child before the age of 14 must be in school. If you go to quarry, you go and make stone in quarry, that is child labor, because that stone you are beating will eventually be sold and you get money out of it. In Uganda here, there are rules and laws. Only that I can testify here that there are people which workers have found disobeying silo rules, laws. But unfortunately, I have not read, I have not come across any person prosecuted, sentenced to jail or pay fine for disobeying child labor or an offense of child labor.
Let me just ask you, when you talk about that, what does the law say? I've visited very many homes, and what they have as housemaids are young girls. I've had many people call, get me a young girl, get me a young girl, anything 18 or yakuzenyo, meaning that one is quite mature. They want from maybe 14, 15, 16, 17 there. So what does the law say?
The law, the Children Act, amended, I think, 2021, states that a child, working age, defined from 14 years, but must be under supervision. A child who is 14 years, you cannot give, I've seen children where is supposed to be a maid. When a baby is crying, he or she is also crying. So is that a way? You brought a maid from the village, you stay in town, a child is crying for milk, and because she doesn't know where milk is or she doesn't know how to warm the milk, the child is continue crying, the maid is also crying. So those are children who are not supposed to be, those are people, a child is not yet ready for work. You can see he's not yet ready for work, so you need to have that child supervised doing things, working. And in the world of work, when we talk about world of work, there are red cards shown that a child from, like Uganda has put it's a law that from 14 years downwards is already a child labor. You cannot behave, you cannot allow that child, instead of being in school, you are taking a child back to work. But you are allowed to work with your child, as I said, when you are plucking coffee. You go with them, your children, you are plucking coffee, you pluck, this is how to, you are teaching them. But you are not sending them to do that coffee so that they carry it for sale. But you are teaching them how to do under your supervision. Is allowed.
Now, that brings me, why do we see child labor on an increase in Uganda?
There are many avenues that is creating child labor. I saw during insurgency, child labor was in the increase because parents were scared to go and get maybe food, to go and do things. People were in the camp, like those of us who were in the north, where we were put in camps. So children used to go and introduced to go and get water, go and sell this, the parents come back, go and sell this, the parents come back, go and sell this, go and come back. So that was introducing more child labor. Two, today you find that parents have neglected their roles. They think that children can do, like during COVID, I saw children going to, I covered a story where children were going to get what we call, they're going to look for jobs. And then what they give, because parents were not allowed to work, the only institution which was allowed to work are some of the building institutions. So children used to go and work in the building institutions where somebody is building a home or a house or a grofa or whatever it is, and then children paid. So they bring the money for the parents. So then economically, we have people, if the child is not going to school, the child will find his way to the street or to get something for him to do because money has been introduced. So there are many avenues which is bringing, there are wars brings child labor, there are economically brings child labor, there is parents not taking care of children brings child labor. So the core issue is children are supposed to be in school. And I know the government has done the best by giving UPE schools, but still, the enforcement is the biggest problem. The enforcement, that's why I've told you, I've not seen, I stand to testify this, that I have not seen anybody being sentenced or made to pay a fine because of child labor. I've seen people who have been sentenced and given fine because of human trafficking. But child labor, I have not. I must testify to this.
Now, having known how a problem this is and why we should fight child labor, now we want to look at the celebrations. We know that Uganda on the 12th of June will join the world to celebrate World Day Against Child Labor. And John, for Uganda's case, how have we organized? We're at a time where we've had a virtual Heroes Day celebration. We had an event postponed. So this time around, how are you preparing to celebrate this day?
I can speak that as a member of a National Organizing Committee, we secured, through the Ministry of Gender, we secured clearance from the Ministry of Health. And they cleared the Ministry of Gender that we can hold that physically with instructions of SOPs. So we are going to have that celebration held for those invited ones in Mayuge. And the activity started this week, where already on the ground there are already activities for children. And like tomorrow there will be a conference, a whole day conference. There will be debate for children, and then there will be football match for the children. And those who have been invited will cement the day in Mayuge where it has been organized in a SOP manner, that there will be no too much crowd, children will be protected. So everybody, every team is set for that D-Day. And we hope that our setup on the ground is all protected and there will be safety in that place.
Now, how is attendance?
Attendance, we have organizations that deal with children. We have ILO in the lead. We have UNICEF. We have NGOs and that deal with children. There are organizations and like trade union are part that we always go to the field to do child labor in agriculture, child labor in marketing. So we are part of the team that we are going to be there, because it's us who see, it's trade union, the workers that see that this organization is involved in children, and we report back. But as I said, I'm yet to see the convicted one. But those who default are there. But to convict, and sentence them is what I want to see. And I would pray that this sentencing of those who are culprit are done so that we would be able to maybe use that as a tool. Because now, as I said before, if you look at trafficking, those who have trafficking, found trafficking, they now know it. And people are now aware. If you, most of them are aware. If you do this, this is the results. So and so is in jail. So and so has paid this. But for this, we advocate, we talk, we remove children from garden, we remove children from market, we remove children from all sorts of from the street. You have seen KCC has been doing a lot by removing these Karmojong children from the street and taking them back. But those who bring them, I'm yet to find KCC, I'm yet to see, maybe they have come here, they have testified that they've, so-and-so has been arrested, because if it is a case file, it is, obviously you can quote. But I have not seen any, I cannot quote any. The culprits are known. And for us as trade union, we report and we make sure they are removed. But what remains is implementation of the laws that we have placed. There are laws in Uganda. There are laws that government has placed. We have law for child labor. We have laws for minimum age for children to work. But there are people who are doing contrary.
Now, looking at that day, for you who are against child labor, and of course everyone should be, just like you're waiting for your views, I'll be reading them out shortly, following our poll question. We can once again have a look at that. Let's take a look at our poll question this morning so that you give us your views. I have some messages that have come in already. I'll be reading them, but let's again take a look at the poll question that we heard before I can go to some of these messages. Now, we need your views. What measures should be taken to eliminate child labor in Uganda? Send in your views on what measures should be taken to eliminate child labor in Uganda. And here I have some. Please make it short. One says, good morning, Robert and our guest. Cricket Derek Gagamel, I think child labor is caused by a lot of factors, but the two core ones are poverty and greed for money. Now, many families struggle to meet the basic needs like food, water, shelter, and education. So they look at their dependents as also potential breadwinners at a very tender age. Okay, thank you, Cricket Derek. Good morning, UBC. To eliminate child labor among Ugandan children picking plastic bottles, selling bananas, and scavenging scraps, especially in Kampala slums, implement targeted interventions, reduce household poverty through conditional cash transfers and parental skills training, microfinance, and he talks about some groups provide free quality education with school feeding, then scholarships and flexible catch-ups. Well, thank you so much. I'm trying to look for your name. Please let me have the name as well. Then I have liked the program. Oh, thank you so much for watching. Good morning, sir. Child labor can't stop in Uganda until the economic policies are changed to a right direction. Secondly, I observed that the current leadership has not enough mental capacity to sort all these issues. I am Katwesi J. Johnson, currently in Kabowa Zone, presidential aspirant. Okay. Nze omugagga Sawurembo enabweru mbuuza lwaki ba okay Sawurembo tuli ku child labor muganda wange. And here in Uganda, okay, still please keep them short. We are still having the poll question on your screen. Please send in your views. Keep them short. Give me your name. I'll be reading them out. I'm still with my guest, Oporong John, who is the General Secretary, Uganda Media Union, that is at the National Organization of Trade Unions. Now, coming back to you, what do we benefit as Ugandans from celebrating this day? Because you have quite a number of days of celebrating, commemorating now for this particular World Day Against Child Labor. Are we just following the bandwagon because globally it is celebrated, or is there anything more to that for Uganda?
I want to alert Ugandans and let a number of those who don't know that Uganda is not an island. Uganda is a part and parcel of the world. We sign what we call we sign an accord like any other. The convention which protects children, Uganda is a signatory. So we sign a convention to protect our children like any other citizens of any world, that we must also protect our children, and they grow healthy, they grow in schools, and they grow. So marking this day is a day already calendared for the day for us to have in the whole world to remember. It's not a public holiday as such. It is a day which is being marked for us to remember the child labor. What do we do to take stock? What do we do? How do we do it? And how do we make it better for the Ugandan students, Uganda's children to be better? And as I said, in Uganda here, it's not just a celebration. We are going to take stock. How far have we gone since last year? Is there any reduction? If you look at UBOS 2021, puts us at about 40% of children who are out of 6.2 million children who are in Uganda. 40% are in child labor. That is as per UBOS 2021. So how far have we, those of us who are in who are working towards eradicating child labor or reducing child labor or making sure that there is no more child labor, how far have we gone? What can we do more? There is recently, I think in March this year, there is a Marrakech conference, a conference which was held, global conference in Marrakech, in Morocco, to take stock of what we are doing now. What do we do? What have we gone? The world, what has the world done? What has Africa done? And what now we are saying, what has Uganda done to eradicate child labor? And that is what we go and take stock, remember and take stock, and give reports and write that to the internationals, to the world, that ILO, that we have, Uganda is reduced child labor in this field, this is what we have done. We have put laws here. We have. That's why I was saying, if we had somebody we have arrested and say, okay, so and so are many in jail, so and so are paid fine. This is what we have done.
Okay, so it helps you to look at such areas and take stock. Yes. Now I'm just going to give you a minute or less for your final remark as we move out of here, you and me.
I want to tell Ugandans that those who are still practicing child labor, please stop it. Take those children to school, even if it is brought by your relative, for you to be in, to take that child, or you have brought that child in order to take to school, but now he's keeping your children, or keeping your shop, or selling in your shop. Please stop it, because the hands of the law will catch up with you. And I will request that parents, the best place for us, for our children, is school. Try your best. Let's take our children to school. They will be better. They will bring us better money. They will bring us a better economy. They will bring us better citizens. So, and for the workers, your role and our role as trade union is to make sure that, and you know it, NATO is championing this. You know it, that we must remove children away from workplaces. So those are my last words that I can tell.
Well, thank you so much, Oporong John, who is the General Secretary, Uganda Media Union at the National Organization of Trade Unions. It's been a pleasure having you. And of course, we have been looking at child labor. What can be done to end child labor, as Uganda will be joining the rest of the world on the 12th of June in Mayuge to celebrate this day. We'll have Julie next after this break. Keep it with us.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The World Football Spectacle is here! From the vibrant cities of Canada, the passion of Mexico, and the grand stages of the United States, the FIFA World Cup 2026 is set to ignite the planet! Every goal, every save, every moment of glory, live and unforgettable on UBC TV and all its radio stations.
From the streets of Rio to the night and day.
Follow Africa's finest, football's biggest stars, and the battle for the most converted trophy in world football.
1, 3, 1, chance to play.
Where legends rise, dreams come alive, and history is made. UBC is the home of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Stay tuned to UBC TV and all UBC's radio stations, bringing the world to Uganda, one match at a time.
I know what Uganda needs. When General Caleb Akantwanaho retired, Salim Saleh presented his long, detailed analysis of Uganda's economy and structured recommendations for improvement in the form of the Third National Development Plan, NDP-3, to President Museveni. He laid out the kinds of problems that many Ugandans feel every day, but rarely see captured in one place. He was doing what he has done for years, breaking down the problems holding back ordinary Ugandans. He talked about distortions in factors of production, such as land conflicts that choke investment, the high cost of finance for ordinary people, the shortage of skills among youth, the slow pace of value addition, and the gap between production in the villages and the factories in industrial parks. It was the kind of diagnosis a technocrat offers when trying to get a country unstuck. The president's reply was striking in its simplicity. I know what Uganda needs. At first, to others, it might have sounded almost dismissive. But when placed in the context of 40 years of state rebuilding, economic reform, and political stability, it revealed something deeper. A belief that Uganda's path to transformation has been consistent, deliberate, and informed by lived experience rather than theory. His confidence is not based on guesswork. It's based on the journey already traveled. He always stresses that any serious revolutionary discussion about the economy of Uganda, or indeed much of Africa, should include the following questions. 1. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1900, at the dawn of colonialism? 2. What was the economy of Uganda like in 1962, at the sunset of colonialism? 3. How and what was the magnitude of the collapse of the Ugandan economy between 1971 and 1986? Idi Amin, Obote II, Okello. 4. What, therefore, was the economy of Uganda like in 1986? 5. What is the Ugandan economy like today, and why?
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. It's time for Tourism Express on Good Morning Uganda, and welcome back from The Real with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Now, this morning, we are looking at unlocking Uganda's next frontier, and that is in regards to tourism events. Now, the tourism sector is one of the focus points in Uganda's budget 2026-2027 and will be allocated 571.5 billion as we move on to the next financial year. So that's why we're looking at tourism events as key drivers for economic transformation in Uganda. And to have that conversation with us is Demo Riley, who is the President, National Tourism Events Organizers Federation. Be part of the conversation and ask those questions, 0709-602-592, or even share your opinion and learn a thing or two as we all learn and relearn. Good morning, Demo.
Good morning to you, Julie. I'm fine.
It's a pleasure having you this morning.
It's a pleasure too.
All right, let's start off with the necessity. What necessitated really the creation of the National Tourism Events Organizers Federation, to which you're the president, and what is the core mandate?
Well, for starters, Uganda has so many and amazing, tourism products that we have when it comes to events. You're looking at events like Nyege Nyege, Source of the Nile Festival, Vumbla Uganda Festival, Renzori, and so many, right? However, for many years, organizers have been working in isolation. So with support from Minister of Tourism and UTB, the federation was, established with the mandate to promote advocacy, unity, collaboration, standards, but most importantly, to position tourism events as, a key driver for the sector. And also, the timing is very important because Uganda is looking for other ways on how we can grow the sector beyond just the traditional attractions. And events have already proved to bring in the numbers, to create jobs and stimulate local economies, So we are glad that already Uganda has the talent, we have the culture, and we do have, the destination. So what is, required of us is just the investment, the infrastructure, and then, of course, the strategic promotion for tourism events.
Right.
Yes.
Therein you talk about us looking beyond the
Yes.
usual tourist attractions that we're used to, or things that we market Uganda for when we talk about global travelers.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Because when a global traveler thinks of destination Uganda, the first thing is gorillas and maybe safaris.
Yeah.
But what or why is it important to magnify the perspective, to shift perspective away from, well, of course maintain, but also extend perspective to things like food, music, sports, that culture, the culture of Uganda. Why do you think it's important to magnify that perspective, especially for major key stakeholder players?
Now, for starters, globally, tourism events contribute $1.5 trillion to the global economy. And event tourists spend twice as much compared to, ordinary tourists. Now, according to Uganda Tourism and Research Development Center, our member tourism events already contribute 70 billion Uganda shillings every single year to Uganda economy. Now, what does that mean? It means that tourism events already contribute something to the economy. They present a great opportunity for all of us because these are not just tourism events. These are, tourism products and economic engines. Why? Because they contribute to tourism arrive and spend, youth employment, culture preservation, transportation, the creatives, small businesses development, and so many people get to benefit from tourism events. And I'll give you an example. You see, according to Uganda airline traffic data, the highest volume of airport arrivals every single year only happens during Nyege Nyege weekend. Now, what does that mean? It means that tourism events are the #1 key driver of the sector, and they present a great opportunity for us. Now, imagine if we had a strategic plan and investment in tourism events, and we are able to get, let's say, 3 million tourists at the airport, and each tourist is giving us $50 for the visa. That is already 150 million Uganda, 150, million US dollars to the economy. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So we need to pay attention to these, tourism events and make sure that we invest in them for greater impact.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love how you're breaking down the 70 billion, because when one hears the 70 billion, they might think, oh my God, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it also, of course, caters to a lot to have the engine running. But therein, what share the downstream, which downstream sectors are actually benefiting from the experience the most. So if you look at things like transport, if you look at sectors like local trade, which just share a bit of them, downstream sectors that are actually getting a transformation from one particular event.
Now, for example, for events like Nyege Nyege or Vumbla Uganda Festival that take, 3 to 4 days of happening, the moment it goes live, the economic impact spreads across the entire, sectors, multiple sectors. And you'll find that the transportation, the restaurants, the bars, all those people will be making money. And the beauty about tourism events is that the money will be directly distributed amongst the local communities. So every ticket that is, bought, it creates an opportunity to support dozens of businesses and workers, so that's why as our member, events already, we're contributing 70 billion Uganda shillings to the economy because of the impact that we have on the local communities and all the other sectors together.
Right. You're watching GMU Tourism Express, and we are having a conversation with Demon Riley, who's representing the National Events, Tourism Events Federation in Uganda. And we're just looking at how best tourism events are actually driving the economy of Uganda, not just events happening and having fun, but how they are plugging into the economic sector and growing the economy of Uganda, and that tourism being one of the largest sectors contributing to Uganda's GDP. Be part of the conversation. 0709-602-592 to share that question, opinion, or experience at that, as we all learn and learn and relearn. Now, how are your member brands structured to encourage domestic tourism?
Well, domestic tourism, first of all, is the heart of our work. And gladly, we've partnered with key stakeholders like the Association of Tour Operators in Uganda, which is OTO. We've partnered with Uganda Tourism Association, who are supporting us in terms of creating tourism experiences, but also our members are creating experiences that encourage Ugandans to explore beyond just the normal localities. And so we also encouraging our members to employ local talent and showcase local talent, local suppliers. And when all these stakeholders and the communities involved, they get to benefit from the event.
Right.
Yeah, if they start being just beyond just spectators and start being participants, they benefit from the events.
And tangible financial gain.
Yes.
How long time, how do you measure the long term of financial benefits from communities, especially those that host really?
Oh, okay. Now, when you talk about, for example, we are impacting a lot of young people.
Right.
Yeah. And these tourism events create a pathway for these young people to build long-term careers when it comes to tourism ecosystem. And as a federation, we are committed to supporting the young people, especially in the community, in terms of mentorship, skills development, networking, and providing a market access for them to build sustainable businesses. Most of them start actually like volunteers and eventually, graduate to become serious entrepreneurs in events, management, production, hospitality, travel business, and that really has an impact on employment.
Indeed, I'm glad that you actually shared that because it's very key for many young people in this space.
Yeah.
It's the gig economy,
Yeah.
and it's temporary. A gig is it's a one-off, you know. But just help us bring out the tangibility of what some of those strategies you're laying as a federation to ensure longer-term employment opportunities for these young people, so that it just doesn't stop at a gig for that one event and then there's no work and then you have to wait for another gig.
Like I said, tourism events are just not about entertainment. These are economic engines because they stimulate tourism arrive and spend. We are making sure that we employ, especially the creatives. Look at an event like Vumbla Uganda Festival or Source of the Nile Festival, Nyege Nyege. You'll find musicians being, employed, comedians, MCs, the DJs, all those are getting, money. But beyond just the performance fee, you'll find the impact that tourism event will have on an artist is visibility, right? Increasing their fan base, giving them brand partnership opportunities and content opportunities. I'll give you an example. For example, Joshua Baraka. I think you saw the video where he was confessing Vumbla was his first stage as an artist, and it motivated him to actually, release more music, and it gave him a better picture and increase his fan base, So we empower these creatives in a way that is very sustainable, and it's something that we really need to keep on
tap into.
Yes, right. Empowering.
Now, I mean, no business does not have challenges.
Yes.
And as a federation, as events organizers in the tourism space, there are definitely those challenges that are primary and structural at that. What are some of those?
Well, we do have three major challenges. Number one is limited access to finances. Many times we are forced to go and borrow, get loans from money lenders with high interest rate, who end up throwing us in prisons because we need cash flow to execute the events. That's and yet we are dealing with company LPOs that are paid 3 or 4 months after the event. So we need cash flow prior to execute the events, and yet our events are a bit really costly. So we kindly request for support through the sector in a sustainable models like SACCOs, because we already have a SACCO, right? And direct investment into the events. Then the other second, a challenge is high cost of security deployments. Our events are not safe, in a sense that, the police will come and do assessment and tell you your event is big and we need 80 million. Personally, I pay about 20 million, and they keep on saying, your event is big, 20 million, you don't want to pay us. You get what I mean? Nyege Nyege pays about 80 to 90 million, just security, which is very unfair because our events impact a lot of people, you get. And so the proposal is, can we have a dedicated, force or security for our events? For example, because events, when our events are not safe, it paints a bad picture for the what?
For the country.
For the country. Right. In 2022, there was an incident where they beat up a New York Times reporter at Nyege Nyege, and it was really terrible. Now, that does not only affect the event, it affects the event of the what? Of the country.
Tourism
yes, as a sector as the whole. And me, I've grown up in a country, this Uganda I know is the safe country on the continent. So it also buffers me when I see people are not safe at my event or a tourism event, an event which is actually, empowering and building the image of the country. Then, so we request for support from the government when it comes to security. Then the last, a challenge is 18% of every ticket. From URA, we pay 18%, which is quite very huge. We ask for a subsidized, because I mean, when you look at Kenya, they pay about 16. So for an event, for a sector that is impacting all those multiple other sectors, and then also the other sectors that we are impacting are also paying tax, I think it would be justice for us to at least, they reduce on the 18%.
Rather profound, rather profound. And therein I just see the leaders of the private sector Federation of Uganda coming in to have these liaising conversations with government to make sure that the private sector that also plays a big role and rather plays the biggest role on Uganda's budget is in a way has some of these incentives for the federations, that is for the National Tourism Events Organizers Federation. Thank you so much for coming
to
speak with us. It's a very enlightening conversation, and I believe you've picked a thing or two. Allow me close off with a comment that comes through from Laura in Mukono, who says, good morning. Thank you, Julie, for that amazing program. Thank you, Laura, for following. What are your parting shots?
Well, I would want to tell the government and all the stakeholders that Uganda has the talent, we do have the culture, and we do have the destination. Now, event industry has really picked up.
Right.
You can definitely see it with South Africa and Rwanda. They are using what we call MICE to position, you know, at their destinations. There's been a bit of disruption and shift when it comes to, you know, so many sectors. You've looked at what has happened to digital, AI has emerged. When it comes to media, the mobile has emerged. So it's the same thing which is happening with tourism. Tourism is just beyond nature and wildlife. Yeah, countries like South Africa and Rwanda have evolved. They are using events. So we have the talent, we have the culture, we have the destination. What is required is the investment, the infrastructure, and strategic promotion for tourism events. So I'd want to call them, let's pay attention to tourism events, let's invest in them, let's support and make sure that we grow our sector and achieve Vision 2040.
Right, very profound that. Thank you, Demo Riley. He is the president of the National Tourism Events Organizers Federation, been speaking to us regarding the tourism events as a key driver for economic transformation and putting it at unlocking Uganda's next frontier. Up next is business with Robert Chiravo. And I'll be back with the agenda. Good morning.
Brought to you by Uniquely Ours. Explore Uganda.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules. Plant extract, scientific ratio. Take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day. Don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product.
It is business now. Let's look at what we have for you. Uganda Railways push to strengthen trade logistics is gaining momentum, with Uganda Railways Corporation having revamped railway services in Jinja, rehabilitating key railway lines linking directly to factories and manufacturing plants, a move set to ease cargo transportation and boost movement of exports and imports across the country. Now let's take a look at this story.
After 8 years of inactivity, the Uganda Railway Corporation has successfully delivered 633 metric tons of cargo to the Bidco Uganda factory in Jinja. The consignment, transported by rail from Mombasa, marks a significant milestone in the revival of railway cargo services and underscores the corporation's ongoing efforts to enhance efficiency and reliability. Speaking to the media, Uganda Railways Corporation spokesperson John Sengedo highlights the advantages of railway transport for moving goods within Uganda and across the region. He emphasized that shifting cargo from road to rail will not only lower the transport costs but also help government to cut expenditure on road repairs caused by heavy trucks.
To URC, because our job is to serve the client, we have also added another client, which is Bidco. To government, it means that the cost of transportation or the cost of repair of roads, if we continue moving cargo on rail, will go down. For the industrialists, it means that, like Bidco, the cost of transporting this cargo goes down. So when the cost of transportation goes down, of the raw materials or even exports, the consumer, the final consumer, will have a lower charge.
The head of transport at Bidco Uganda Limited, Agre Manala, commended government for investing in the rehabilitation and improvement of the railway network, noting that the upgrades have significantly boosted the efficiency of cargo movement.
We have done the transport with rail before, but the challenge, there used to be so many reports of capsizement and then derailment. So it kind of caused, it caused an encumbrance to the whole idea, and we could not keep on with the business, so somehow it was on a standstill.
After receiving the 633 metric ton shipment, Mr. Manala praised the Uganda Railways Corporation for ensuring enhanced security and timely delivery of the consignment. He added that Bidco expects continued use of rail transport to improve operational efficiency and increase profitability.
And now over to issues regarding fuel, where Nigeria's Dangote refinery has increased its output to 700,000 barrels per day. The wrap-up comes as global aviation fuel supply tightens due to US-Iran tension and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, positioning Dangote as a key supplier of jet fuel.
The refinery in the state, by ramping up its production capacity to 700,000 barrels per day, the Dangote refinery has now effectively surpassed its original nameplate capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. Owner Aliko Dangote had said he was going to double the capacity of the refinery to 1.4 million barrels per day within 30 months. There's no doubt now that he's very much on course to doing that. The refinery in the statement says the expansion reflects, quote, a deliberate move toward continental and global refining dominance, not just domestic supply sufficiency, end of quote.
The kind of thing that Dangote has done in our parts of the world, individuals don't do that. It is governments that do that. But he has been able to make it happen. I like this statement about what government cannot do, Dangote can do. So when it comes to being able to achieve these dreams of supplying the world, being a major player on the globe, he can do it.
With the tension in the Middle East disrupting supply, Dangote refinery has now become an important supply lifeline across the continent and beyond. It's now a major supplier to both domestic and international markets, exporting refined petroleum products like aviation fuel and petrol to several African countries and key European destinations, and even Saudi Arabia, as well as the American markets. In April, the S&P Global Commodities listed it as the world's largest exporter of jet fuel.
We've seen now the use of the refinery. Last month alone on PMS gasoline, we have actually exported almost 17 or so cargoes to other African countries, about, almost, about 17. And then what I can do is to assure Nigerians, first of all, here, And most of West Africa and Central Africa, East Africa, we have the capacity to supply them.
The refinery has transformed a country which used to be heavily dependent on imported refined petroleum products into a net exporter. It now accounts for 95% of the country's aviation fuel and the bulk of petrol consumed locally.
And if he scales up to 1.4 million barrels per day, it will be the largest.
Well, with that, we come to the end of our business news. But a word of wisdom to you: every man will account for their own actions. Now, you can carry mob justice when you're many of you, but before the law, each of you will account for their own actions. Do not be taken up by a bandwagon, because at the end of the day, or group influence or any form of influence, where you believe everyone is doing it, because at the end of the day, you will account for your own actions. See you in the next hour. Keep it with us.
Peak of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by...
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go low.
You can now get all that you